Comprehension, Week 2, Day 1, Day 6. The Raven and the Starfruit Tree, a retelling of a tale from Vietnam. In the days before boats were used for exploring the seas or trading, there lived two brothers. The older brother was very greedy, but the younger brother was content to live humbly. When their father died, he left behind an enormous inheritance that he wanted to be divided in an extremely uneven way. He left his entire estate, his home and his vast wealth, to his older son, but only a small plot in the country containing a small shack and a single starfruit tree to his other son. The older son was overjoyed with this arrangement and quickly began living an extravagant lifestyle. Eating expensive foods and spending money freely, he despised his brother, who was content living in the simple shack his father had given him. When the season for starfruit came, the tree produced abundantly, and the younger brother cheered himself with the prospect of selling starfruit to support his family. However, an enormous raven visited the tree each morning and ate the fruit. The younger brother saw that his income was quickly disappearing into the belly of the raven, so one morning he waited beneath the tree. When the raven arrived, the younger brother called to him, "Oh, Raven, please don't eat my starfruit. They are all I have, and I cannot support my family if you eat them." "Don't be afraid," said the raven. "I'll pay you in gold for your starfruit, as I did your father. Make a bag 1 foot deep to put the gold in." "I believe you, Raven," the younger brother said. "Please eat as much as you like." That night, he had his wife make the bag just as the raven instructed. The next day, the raven came as usual to eat starfruit. When he was done eating, he flew down into the yard, spread his wings, and said, "Climb on my back and bring your bag." The younger brother complied, and the raven took off, flying over the sea. He landed on a strange, uninhabited island with no trees or other plants of any kind. The dirt, however, was made of pure gold, and the raven told the younger brother to fill his sack with it. The younger brother took only what he could easily carry. After returning home, the younger brother spent some of his newfound wealth on his family and shared some of it with others who were in need. One day, the younger brother invited the older brother to dinner, but the other refused to come. And again, the younger brother pleaded until finally the older brother agreed and visited his brother's house. The older brother was not expecting what he found. Instead of a simple shack, the younger brother had a comfortable home with fine things inside. "Where did you get all these things?" the older brother asked. The younger brother told his brother of the raven. Upon hearing the whole story, the brother offered to trade his entire inheritance for the starfruit tree. The younger brother replied that he was content with what he had and refused to trade. The next day, however, the older brother went to the starfruit tree and found the raven. "Oh, Raven," he said, "I have traded with my brother for this tree. Will you take me to the island of gold?" "Of course," the raven replied. The bird landed in the yard, spread out his wings, and flew the older brother to the island. The older brother, remembering his brother's explanation, had taken with him the largest bag he could find. He filled it with gold and then climbed back onto the raven, but the bird couldn't fly because the bag was too heavy. "You must pour out some of your gold," the raven said, but the brother refused. "Very well," said the raven. The bird flew back to the village, leaving the older brother and all his gold on the island. The season for starfruit passed, and the raven was no longer visited the starfruit tree. The younger brother wondered what had become of the older brother. The next year, when the starfruit came again, so did the raven. "Raven," said the younger brother, "you fly all around the world. Have you seen my brother?" "I have," said the raven, and explained what had happened. "Your brother now has all the gold he wants." All right, moving on to our next excerpt from the Story of Urashima Taro, The Fisher Lad, by Theodora Ozaki. "What? You need not swim yourself. If you will ride on my back, I will take you without any trouble on your part." "But," said Urashima. "How is it possible for me to ride on your small back? It may seem absurd to you, but I assure you that you can do so. Try it once. Just come and get on my back and see if it is as impossible as you think." As the tortoise finished speaking, Urashima looked at its shell, and strange to say, he saw that the creature had suddenly grown so big that a man could easily sit on its back. The tortoise, with an unmoved face, as if this strange proceeding were quite an ordinary event, said, "Now we will set out at our leisure." And with these words, he leapt into the sea with Urashima on his back. Down through the water the tortoise dived. For a long time, these two strange companions rode through the sea. Urashima never grew tired, nor his clothes moist with water. At last, far away in the distance, a magnificent gate appeared, and behind the gate the long sloping roofs of a palace on the horizon. "Yeah!" exclaimed Urashima. "That looks like the gate of some large palace just appearing. Mr. Tortoise, can you tell what that place is we can now see?" "That is the great gate of the Rinjin Palace. The large roof that you see behind the gate is the Sea King's palace itself. Then we have at last come to the realm of the Sea King and to his palace," said Urashima. "Yes, indeed," answered the tortoise. "And don't you think we have come very quickly?" And while he was speaking, the tortoise reached the side of the gate, and "Here we are, and you must please walk from here." The tortoise now went in front, and speaking to the gatekeeper said, "This is Urashima Taro from the country of Japan. I have had the honor of bringing him as a visitor to this kingdom. Please show him the way." The gatekeeper, who was a fish, at once led the way through the gate before them. The red bream, the flounder, the sole, the cuttlefish, and all the chief vassals of the Dragon King of the sea now came out with courtly bows to welcome the stranger. "Urashima-sama! Urashima-sama! Welcome to the Sea Palace, the home of the Dragon King of the sea. Thrice welcome are you, having come from such a distant country. And you, Mr. Tortoise, we are greatly indebted to you for all your trouble in bringing Urashima here." Then, turning again to Urashima, they said, "Please follow us this way." And from here the whole band of fishes became his guides. Urashima, being only a poor fisher lad, did not know how to behave in a palace. But, strange though it was all to him, he did not feel ashamed or embarrassed, but followed his kind guides quite calmly, where they led to the inner palace. When he reached the portals, a beautiful princess with her attendant maidens came out to welcome him. She was more beautiful than any human being, and was robed in flowing garments of red and soft green, like the underside of a wave, and golden threads glimmered through the folds of her gown. Her lovely black hair streamed over her shoulders in the fashion of a king's daughter many hundreds of years ago, and when she spoke, her voice sounded like music over the water. Urashima was lost in wonder while he looked upon her, and he could not speak. Then he remembered that he ought to bow, but before he could make a low obeisance, the princess took him by the hand and led him to a beautiful hall, and to the seat of honor at the upper end, and bade him be seated. "Urashima Taro, it gives me the highest pleasure to welcome you to my father's kingdom," said the princess. "Yesterday you set free a tortoise, and I have sent for you to thank you for saving my life, for I was that tortoise. Now, if you like, you shall live here forever in the land of eternal youth, where summer never dies and where sorrow never comes. And I will be your bride if you will, and we will live together happily forever afterwards." The end.